Here's a list of all the brands that don't have my shade. Urban Decay, Benefit, Buxom, It Cosmetics, Laura Geller, Estee Lauder, Stila, Pure, Laura Geller, Juice Beauty, Hourglass, Giorgio Armani, Milani, Revlon, Tarte, Givenchy, Huda, Charlotte Tilbury, Makeup Forever, and Dior. Just to name a few. Ariana. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. We are here with yet another new series that I am starting on my channel, which is called Drinks with Mone. So I was gonna name it Margaritas with Mone because if you know me, you know that margaritas are like my thing. But I didn't want to just only be able to drink a margarita, especially because I never feel like making margaritas from scratch. So I could have anything. I could have wine, I could have an Angry Orchard, I could have a margarita, you know, whatever. But basically it's just time to sit and kiki. Eventually I want this series to turn into you sending me in your questions, your tea, your whatever, and we can just talk about it all. So for this first installment, I want to talk about this theory that the beauty industry is getting better. I have a lot to say about that because I think my biggest gripe is that no one cares unless everybody cares about something. And what I mean by that is there are so many brands, so many launches that I can't use, to the point where I just assume that I'm not going to be included in a brand launch. If they do okay, then no one cares. If the number is there, like we released 50 foundations, then no one cares. But the fact of the matter is that there are maybe a handful of brands that I can use. No, there isn't. I don't think there's one brand that I can use their stuff from like start to finish. Like their foundation, finishing powders, concealers, but everybody's so concerned about foundation and foundation range and foundation this and foundation that and foundation that no one stops to think like, dang, we got all this foundation, what we gonna set it with? A powder? Oh, now your face looks flat, so what are you gonna bronze with? The non-existent bronzer? Like no one, oh, we have all these peachy nudes, all these nudes that just came out. I wonder if someone that's darker than brown, meaning cardboard brown, might be able to use these. Ah well, like that's how I feel like these companies really act about it, and it's honestly ridiculous. So what really set me off and made me want to talk about this was the situation with Givenchy. They just released a new foundation line, and what happened, once again, the shade range was absolutely terrible. If you haven't seen the screenshot that's been floating around, I'll insert it somewhere on the screen. But the point is that it's horrible, it's abysmal, but what did we come to expect? I actually saw somebody's video, her name is Snitchery, here on YouTube and also over on Instagram, and she was talking about the theory that these brands do it on purpose. Like, who really cared about Givenchy until they did this stupid abysmal launch, and then they were like, oh, you know what, Givenchy this, Givenchy that. No press is bad press anymore. Honestly, you live in an age where you literally, like, it's really hard for me to believe that your company really sat there and was like, you know, this line is it. This is it. We see no problem with the current state of like the beauty industry and all this talk about shade range. Like, yeah, this is good. This is good. Everyone must love this. There's no, like, to me, there's just no way. Unless everybody in your boardroom looks the same, which they probably do, then maybe y'all are just that dumb. But I do think that it's a little calculated, honestly, nowadays. So Jackie Aina went on this whole rant on Twitter about how people kind of treat her like an attack dog. Like, they constantly throw on her face like, oh, look at this new launch, look at this new launch, their shade range is horrible, what do you have to say about it? And she kind of came back and she made sense, and she was like, look, why do y'all find pleasure in throwing in my face every time me and other black people aren't included? Like, it gets a little daunting. And I understand some people are saying like, but that's kind of what you made your brand into, like that's kind of what you're known for, and now you're mad because people want that from you. I get that argument, but I also get it when she says like, ew, I'm black every day. I'm reminded of my blackness every day. I'm reminded of my blackness when I walk into a convenience store and I can't find a foundation to fit me. I'm reminded of my blackness when I'm walking down the street and the person takes a few steps to their left to avoid me. Like, I'm reminded of my blackness quite often. So I don't need y'all throwing in my face every single launch that doesn't include black people. So I get that on her part. Now, if we move away from like just that, like these brand launches, I'm just so over it. Like, how much does it say about companies that I like expect to not be included? Like, that's an expectation of mine, that when a new launch comes out, for instance, Kylie Jenner just announced today via Instagram, like yesterday, that she's launching new setting powders. I didn't even have to look at the powders to know that I wasn't gonna be included in that. I don't own not one thing from Kylie Jenner or from Kylie Cosmetics, and I know I never will. It's crazy to me that they procreating with all these black men but can't create shades to contour their men. But none of my business. Like, them powders, and everybody's so here for them, like, oh my god, 6 shades of powder. 6? Like, how come y'all like ask, like demand that we have to have 50 shades, no less than 50 shades of foundation, but then when the powder comes out, y'all are like, 6 is good, 6 is fine, 6 covers the whole gambit. Like, what? How backwards is that? Like, and then they don't even care about the actual quality of the shades. A number is a number. Like, that's it. Like, the only brand that like really got clapped back for it was Morphe, but Morphe is a controversial brand overall. We don't need to get into that, but some people were like, y'all just created 60 shades for no reason, because they weren't actual like useful shades, and the foundation was here and there, so. But let's take for instance Tarte. Tarte just revamped their stupid Shape Tape foundation, and everybody's all here for that. Like, oh, well, they revamped, they gave us 50 more shades. A year after the scandal happened, you give us 50 shades a year later, and then change it from the Shape Tape foundation to the Face Tape foundation, and then make your slogan, you asked, we answered. Look, I'm one of the people that was personally victimized by that foundation, and I can guarantee you that I did not ask. I didn't ask. Y'all should have just laid that to bed. Lay it to bed, Tarte. Put it to rest. Let it go. Just let Shape Tape be good, and then that's it. That's everything. That's all. Stop trying to extend this whole saga. Like, I'm just not here for it. Can we also talk about the fact that it's 2019 and I barely have a bronzer, a highlight, or blush that fits me? Like, just barely. Like, can we talk about the fact that maybe a month or two ago I found something to contour and bronze me, as you can see today, and it's eyeshadow by Juvia's Place, a black owned brand, by the way. Oh, and you know what, let's cut that off before someone comes in my comments crazy talk about some.
There's an Instagram indie brand that you should support that's made in Zimbabwe, and you could buy that.
Oh, that's such an annoying like excuse to make. I'm making a completely different point than what you were trying to make. You're trying to say, well, since 99% of brands don't make your color, go out of your way to find something. How would you feel if the shoe was on the other foot, Amanda? How would you feel if you had to hunt up and down, side to side, got me rocking side to side, trying to find a concealer that fits you, or a powder, a skin tone powder, which I don't have. I do not own a pressed skin tone powder. I don't own it. It doesn't exist for me in my makeup collection. It's not there. How would you feel if I told you that you had to go out of your way and invest in an Instagram brand and hope that you actually get the product and hope that it's actually good once you get it, and that you couldn't walk into your local Sephora, Ulta, or drugstore, or CVS, or Rite Aid, or Walgreens and find a powder or a bronzer or a blush for yourself? You'd be okay with that? You would still give yourself the same advice of go out of your way? I feel like you might have a little bit to say, but that's just me. See, the thing is that people love to talk about how it's just petty, it's just makeup, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that it's a symptom of a bigger problem. It's a symptom of a much bigger problem. Being black in America, I can tell you right now, there is many a times where I don't feel wanted. And nothing makes you feel less wanted than walking into a place that's supposed to have things to make you feel beautiful, where you're constantly running into the issue that the things that are made are not made to fit your skin tone. What does that tell you? Well, if they don't make it for me, then that clearly means that I'm not being thought of, or I'm not valued. What else is that supposed to say? Like, we ran out of ingredients? And if you genuinely don't know how to mix them, then you could learn. Maybe, do you have anybody in your lab that doesn't look like you, that's, you know, of color, you know, at all? Does it start from the bottom up? Examine that. See if you actually care to know. But a lot of companies don't. A lot of companies are just like, you know, we are who we are where we are, so we don't really care very much, which is super disappointing. Not to mention the fact that no one cared before Fenty. Like, before Fenty, everybody and their mama was like, well, you can mix, well, you can do this, well, you can do that, well, you can go out of your way to do this, or you're race baiting, or it's not that big of a deal, it's just makeup, it's just foundation. And then Fenty comes out, and now companies are like, oh, there's a market for black people? There's a market for people that are darker in skin tone? Let's start making stuff for them. Literally, I've seen the most significant changes in the makeup industry since Fenty dropped their stuff. Like, do you understand that in high school, I did not have not a single foundation that fit me, and I didn't have one that fit me up until college, and I could only wear Lancome because it was the only brand on the market that made a foundation dark enough for me. Doesn't it say a lot that every time I see a brand that sells a foundation that matches me, I literally buy it? Like no hesitation, I buy it, just because I'm worried that all of them are just gonna poof up and like disappear on me, and I'm just not gonna have any options anymore. Because ever since I started wearing makeup when I was 16, I haven't had that. I haven't had something as basic as foundation to put on my face. I don't understand why people are so complacent with this. Like, everybody's rah and all here for these foundation launches and doesn't even care that Tarte came out with another 50 foundations, and they still, the darkest shade doesn't even come close to fitting me. Like, but no one cares about that. Benefit just finally came out with new Hoola bronzers. How many years ago did the Hoola bronzer come out? How long has it been a cult favorite? Y'all with a quickness came out with a Hoola light. With a quickness after you figured out that the bronzer was doing well. But then it took y'all, what, 3-4 years to come out with darker ones? It's like companies are consistently saying the black dollar, the Indian dollar, the Hispanic dollar doesn't matter to us because you are not our target audience, which is insane to me. It's literally insane. You're telling groups of people that they really don't matter to you, and people's constant responses to say that you're complaining. It's honestly a mess. It's honestly a mess. So I took the liberty of writing down all the brands that actually do have my shade. It's not every single brand ever in existence, of course, and neither was the other list, but the brands that actually do have my shade are Maybelline, L'Oreal, Burley, NARS, Burley, NYX, Fenty, Becca, Clinique, Anastasia, CoverGirl, Too Faced, Smashbox, and MAC. And if we narrow that list down and take out the Bareleys and just talk about brands that have had my shade to start with, that goes down to Fenty, Becca, and MAC. That didn't have to do a shade extension, that just had them. That's 3 brands. Three. And I'm still telling you that there's not one brand that I could use their face products from start to finish. Like, I have a full face that I could do with one brand. It doesn't exist. Even Fenty, like their new powers that came out, like the darkest one, the coffee one, it's a little ashy for me. A little ashy. And even the foundation, I kind of feel like I'm in between 2 shades, which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, I'm not gonna complain because they're here for the girls. Like, they're here for all the girls. It just so happens that I don't have a perfect match. But the fact that the darkest shade is 3 shades darker than me, and I have the option to mix because I land in between 2 shades that are already pretty close to each other, that says a lot. That's the direction that we need to move in. My whole thing is, if I can't find my shade, then Sally, Susan, Samantha, Hibacha, Linquinta, none of us better be able to find our shades. Nobody. If you're gonna have 50 shades, 20 shades, you better skip around so that everybody mixing. I don't want to hear we released 17 shades of light and threw in 2 dark ones at the end and called it a day. Beauty blender talking about well, I feel like medium skin tones are underrepresented, so I wanted to make sure I focused on those. In what world was medium skin tones ever not catered to? What? But you know what? I have to go to work soon, so that's all I have to say about that. Basically, the beauty community just needs to do better. And and I mean that in terms of company, I mean that in terms of people. I'm so freaking tired of watching some of these big YouTubers talk about, oh my gosh, such a good range, such a good shade range. Oh, the shade range could need some help. You throw in, oh, the shade range could need some help, but you proceed to use the product and talk about how good it is, knowing daggone well that if it had been a beauty blender incident or a tart shaped or a sharp tart face whatever incident, then you would have been like, this is unacceptable. No one says anything about the Milani foundation. No one says anything about the Tarte foundation. No one says anything about the Hourglass foundation. No one says anything about everybody's cult favorites because, I mean, they're tried, right? Okay, really, that's all I got. I hope you all enjoyed this first installment of Mone Talks. I hope that what you all got out of this conversation is that, you know, the world doesn't revolve around you and your thoughts, you know, and you can't blame people for having a certain opinion when generally people tend to gravitate and hang around people that look like them. And usually people that look like you have about the same mindset. Where you shine and where you start to grow as a person is that you start to consider other people's ways of thinking and other people's lives outside of your own. So I'm hoping that this video will help somebody see that this is unacceptable and that we need to make a change. So yeah, I guess I'll update you all when I have a brand that I can use from start to finish. Maybe that'll make a nice video, like a brand that I can use start to finish and not look ashy or crazy. Thank you all so much for joining me. Remember to like this video, comment if you have an opinion, if you agree with my opinion. If you have any more thoughts to add, make sure you comment and make sure you smash that subscribe button. Also, remember to keep positivity in your life because positivity breeds positivity. And we have no time for negativity in 2019. See you on the next video. Peace.